made a lot of improvements. I think we have to take at least that biggest step again this week. Going to be by far the most talented team we've played so far, which, that's kind of sounds pretty obvious. But a very, very talented group. I look at them, I think our first game, coming off our first game, we were kind of disappointed with our performance, with how we played in a lot of different phases. I'm sure they, walked in the building yesterday or today, I don't know, whatever day they go on Sunday or Monday, probably as a team with the same exact feeling. The difference was, we played a team and found a way to win. They played a top 20 team in Utah. And you're not going to be able to make mistakes and play poorly and win against great teams. So I think they're going to come in with a little bit of an edge, a little bit of a chip, trying to make that big jump from week 1 to week 2. We're trying to make the jump up again. And like I said, there were a lot of things that we did really well in that last game. And then there were some glaring errors. And we talked to our guys, just the little specifics, it's about each play. Can we have 11 guys do their job at the highest of levels every single play? I don't need you to do anything special. Everybody just focused on doing what we're supposed to do. And you look in the games, you look at some of the major breakdowns in the games were guys making those mistakes. And when they do, they cost you. They didn't end up costing us the game, but they could cost us a game down the road. And I think that those type of mistakes will cost us in a game like we have this week. So that attention to detail is something we really have to improve on.
Coach, now you coached a lot of big-time quarterbacks, and you've had Anthony Calandria here since the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about his development since he first arrived here, and then what makes him so efficient in running that offense.
Well, I think the one help is the experience he had playing before. It's not like he was a first-time starter coming in. So he's a little bit of an older guy, even though it's all a new offense, new system. He's a little bit of an older veteran guy. I think Corey's done a great job with the quarterbacks of them developing. Both he and Alex. And Alex, with his number was called the other day. I looking afterwards, I would have liked to have gotten him some more reps in that game. And just how it was going, it didn't happen. We only got 50-some offensive plays again, which is disappointing. But Anthony, I think, has picked it up fast, has really learned. I think a lot of the help came from the multiplicity our defense showed in all the practices of him getting comfortable within the system, within the offense. And I think he's done a good job of executing, and Corey's done a good job play calling of keeping him into doing things he's comfortable with.
Dan, two questions as it pertains to preparation for a game of this magnitude. When you were coaching at Mississippi State in Florida, you were involved in a lot of big games during the season. How did you approach those game weeks? And my other question is, in this era of NIL, where you've brought in players out of the portal from other big-time programs, does it make it easier for them to embrace the moment of playing in a big game of this magnitude for the UNLV program?
Yeah. And I guess it's a tricky, and I don't want to sound just pure like coach talk, but it is. It's the same as last week. 2 weeks ago, we had our first game ever here as a program. Again, not as a program, as me as the head coach and this team. That was really big. And last week was our first road game. That was really big. This is so I don't think you approach it any differently. I think our players are going to know. You get excited for big games. We don't approach and change our routine. We don't change our preparation. Honestly, I think the thing is you're just going to see the intensity of practice be a little bit picked up of the players because they know it's a big game. I'd be disappointed if they didn't pick it up even just a little bit more. When you get in those big games, if the players think it's a big game and we feel it's a big game and you need me to motivate you for that, you're playing the wrong sport. I mean, you got problems. So we're just going about it like our regular routine, like we do every single week. I guess there's one thing's different is today's Labor Day. So there were no classes, so it allowed us to adjust our Monday schedule slightly. It's about that's the big difference, and it's never I've never thought of it differently in any of those moments or thoughts. I think if you do, you can throw yourself way off. I mean, they know. I mean, you know, you know it's a bigger game, but you're not going to change your routine or your preparation. You should be excited just to go have that opportunity to play and on a bigger stage, if you will. You know, I imagine there'll be more people tuning in, more people in the stands, more people watching, bigger stage, kind of a cool deal. That, you know, people that love Showtime want to show up and play.
What about the fact that you have players on your roster?
Oh, from other places?
Or did this kind of environment in the past?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, guys that were here on the team last year played in big games. You know, guys that played in big stadiums played in big games. I don't know if it's a real big difference, to be perfectly honest with you, in today's world. You have guys coming up from smaller levels, but they might have been playing in FCS playoff games. I mean, you have guys that were on the team last year that played in the Mountain West Championship game. You have guys that have played in huge rivalry games around the country. So I think, I think when you look at that, I think they know. I think they're going to be excited for the stage that they're on, and then hopefully we got them ready to go play.
Coach, just going up against, can you talk about there's a talented quarterback on the other side who's played in some big games throughout his career. Just how excited is the defense to get a chance to test that matchup?
Yeah, we'll see a practice day. We haven't practiced yet, but hopefully, I think they're going to want the challenge. I think it is going to be a challenge. You look at, Nico, and I watching the film, a lot of, you see the talent he has, obviously the performance in the end, statistically probably wasn't the game he wanted to play, but you can certainly see his talent on film, his toughness. Played a very tough, anytime you're going to play, a Morgan Scally defense, they're coming from every different direction. They're going to cause you all kinds of problems. And you watch that with Utah, and that's kind of what that place is built on. Even with Coach Witt, back when I was there 20 years ago, that place was built on having a tough edge on the defensive side of the ball. And so I think, that for him is I think he's going to come out fired up, ready to go put on a show and rebound from his performance. And he is an extremely talented player. You look, he's got size. He's got athleticism. He's a deceptive runner. In that, he doesn't, and I say deceptive runner in that he doesn't get a lot of credit or accolades when people watch him and talk about him as a dual threat athletic guy, but then you go watch him run, and he is. He's athletic and strong and powerful, so I think he's going to bring a lot of challenges for our defense that way.
Coach, we've seen Jaden Bradley emerge as a big breakout target this year and really the main downfield target so far for Anthony Calandria, a guy that stayed over from the previous regime. What was your initial impression of him, and where have you seen him take the biggest steps forward since you've gotten to get your hands on him?
Well, I think, initially, you're looking at a guy that's been around, played a lot of college football, and really had no career stats, really hadn't done anything. So a lot of questions on whether, he's a guy that, we should keep around. How's he going to fit in with the new program, and met with them. And, obviously everyone said, hey, I think he has some potential. But, it's been a long career for him so far. So, we sat down, we've met a couple times and said, hey, what you've done in the past probably hasn't worked. So why don't you just try it our way, try to buy in. And, so I think the most improvement that I've seen from him is definitely from the neck up, right? From his attitude, his demeanor, his approach to the game, his preparedness. Even since when we first got here, he'd do some things, and I said, that's not going to work if you do it that way. And to his credit, he's really bought in. He's listened, if you will, and he's listened and taken it to heart. And I do think he has a lot of talent, and I think he has a lot of ability. And it just, for whatever reason, hadn't come out in the last 4 years. And so, if what you're doing is not working, you got to change. And if you want to change, you got to the start of any change. You got to change the way you think. And so we kind of started that with the neck up, and I think he's really bought into it, and so done a good job. We got to keep him on that right path.
And also, you had mentioned earlier you were a little disappointed in the total amount of plays that you were able to get off last Friday. In this offense with Corey Dennis, is there a number or a range that you guys shoot for?
No, but I looked talking to the offensive guys that we did. One, just in the style of the game, in the first half we scored on every possession. The one time we scored 17 points on one possession and only got credit for 3 with the 2 penalties, calling them back. And so, the first half just was that type of game. It was there were some longer drives back and forth. We had the pick 6, which obviously is that's I love it, but takes a possession away. But then after the first drive of the second half, we had a 3-and-out. We had a 2 plays and an interception. We fumbled an onside kick, and so those are missed offensive opportunity drives that we have to execute better to make sure we stay on the field. Right? If guys are saying, hey, Coach, I want more touches. I want more plays. I want more of this. I'm like, great. Well, let's not make mistakes and have a 3-and-out. Let's not turn the ball over on a 2-play drive, and let's recover an onside kick. All 3 of those would have led to a bunch more offensive plays for us. So if you want more plays, let's do better. That's the disappointing part for us of the little parts of execution. Parts on us. Some of our in those situations that we got to make sure we're calling the best plays for our guys and the best, some of our short yardage. We missed a couple assignments that could have been better. But, like I said, we went, to me, from a lot of things we didn't do well to a couple of things we didn't do well. And the good point is the couple of things we didn't do well really cost us, both offensively and defensively in the game.
You mentioned after the game the 2 4th-and-1s where they broke it.
Yeah.
Other than that, when you watch the film,
I think it was 112 yards of their total offense on 2 4th-and-1s in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. Other than those,
yeah.
When you watch the film, what did you like defensively more than the first game?
Yeah. I thought, one, we played a little bit harder. We got off the ball a little bit more. We were a little bit more aggressive up front. Thought we tackled much better. Especially open field. We were able to get more pressure on the quarterback, tackle much better. I thought game 1, our coverage was pretty good. That quarterback made some spectacular throws, and they made some spectacular catches. And you didn't see that in game 2 as much. You didn't see guys leaping over, making catches. I think, so I thought, but the speed of how we played up front and our pass in the run and the pass game, our open field tackling, I thought was better. Again, I thought our coverage, we were good in both games. They just made some spectacular catches that this week Sam Houston didn't make. And then the disappointing ones, I think, I think a bunch of their first, 4 of their first downs were on penalties. You know what I mean? You're looking at almost all of their conversions. I think every third down conversion they got was a penalty. The 2 on penalties, and 1 we had a stop, and we gave them a free play to go from 3rd and 10 to 3rd and 5, and then they converted the 3rd and 5. Every other third down we stopped them. So to get those little things cleaned up with some of the mental errors with penalties that we got to continue to get better.
You talk about your defense improving each week. What do you want to see from your D-line this week, and also the return of Mumu in the secondary?
Well, I think, coming back off injury, that'll help. It'll add to the depth. The one thing I was pleased we played a lot more guys. I think a lot more guys got reps this past week, especially the situation scenario being in the humidity certainly caused that. I don't think anybody played more than 59 total snaps on any phase of the game, any individual player, including, when you add in offense, defense, and special teams. 59 is still a bunch, but, we had guys in the 90s the week before in all phases combined. So, that got more guys playing time, more experience, adds to the depth, keeps guys fresher. I think that's a big plus. Getting Mumu's going to add to that depth. But we're going to have obviously a challenge. I mean, the size, the physicality of this team. You're talking about. I mean, a 5-star quarterback coming in with talented, skilled players to throw the ball to. A bunch of a running back, a stable of running backs back there, and an enormous offensive line. You're going to sit there and say, okay, hey, we gotta load everything up to stop the run, and now they got a 5-star quarterback throwing to some elite speed wide receivers. Hey, we got to defend the quarterback, and then all of a sudden let's defend the pass game, and they got a stable of explosive running backs running behind a big offensive line. And you stop both, and, they got a 6'6" kid that can run racing down the field against your defense. And then, you watch them drop the pads and run people over. So it certainly will be a challenge for us at all 3 levels and in every part of the defensive game plan.
That 53-yard run they busted on the 4th and 1.
Yeah.
What'd you see on that?
Yeah, we just got out of a gap. Right, we had a guy overrun a gap, and another guy we had one guy overrun the gap, and the other guy not cross face to get into it. So I mean, it's just kind of, and then hey, but we came after him. We're trying to end the game right there, and all of a sudden, if you do that, and we had 2 guys hit the wrong gap, there's a wide open gap, and when you're coming after them, there's not many people left. So just that stuff. I mean, that's like you talk about the attention to detail. Just the little things, on every play. We had the same deal. We had a guy the week before. Now, different guys. On a 4th and 1 the week before, they bounced it to the outside. We had a guy there to set the edge. If he sets the edge, we'll probably end the game in the 3rd quarter, with a stop deep in their own territory. So just those little things that we got to continue to clean up with the exactness of the details of the defense that where we're running it.
On your Twitter account today, you guys put out a graphic with Lucas Conte having a real high PFF score, like an 88-1, which is super good for defenders. What'd you see on film from Conte?
Yeah, I don't know that. They're going to be mad at me. I've never looked at. I don't know what the PFF score even means. But he did a great champion for us. So we graded them as a champion effort. I have no idea what a PFF score is. Like, who graded them? Who?
Yeah, it's Pro Football Focus.
I know who does that.
They don't put a name on it, but they have a whole crew.
But how do they know what he's supposed to do? They don't have our defensive call, so I don't know how they. But that's just my take on some of those things, right? Like they don't. But whatever. That's awesome. Proud of him. That's cool. He got a great score. Love it.
One more. I saw you come over during one of the breaks, and it was after a hold by a receiver and then the push-off that was called the OPI on Day-Day Reynolds, and you were really drilling guys on both of those and what the officials were saying.
Yeah. Drilling our guys? Yeah, because, they're both little penalties, and they're they are, but they're little things that could have easily been corrected. They didn't. I don't think the penalty had the ultimate effect on the end of a play. So both of them should have resulted in touchdowns, but little technique and fundamental aspects of each play resulted in penalties that got touchdowns called back. So, to me, it's the coaching of the technique and the fundamentals, all of those little details that, you're playing in the game this week. I don't know how this game's going to shape up, but I don't want to have 2 touchdowns called back because of penalties. Points are valuable, and, especially, avoidable ones. Both of those, if they would have used better technique, both plays still would have resulted in touchdowns. It wasn't like the penalty caused the touchdown. They were right at the point of attack, so you got to call it because it's right at the point of attack. It wasn't like, I lose my mind if it was like a guy way on the other side of the field that had nothing to do with a play and it was a little ticky-tack thing. It's plays right at the point of attack, but Day-Day had an arm extended. You don't need the arm extended. You can, you just use your body, and he still would have. He didn't need to. He would have caught the touchdown anyway. JoJo right at the point of attack is disengaging. You kind of punch when you're in that blocking position. Don't grab, you punch. And if he would have done that, Jet still would have scored the touchdown. So that was kind of it, of just really getting our guys. Those are the little correctable things that can help us be better.
You talked about getting Alex more reps in Houston. With his size and his talent, how do you plan to utilize him this week?
Well, I mean, you see it, though. I mean, he's completing 100% of his passes. His leadership, his toughness. He does bring a different aspect to the game of that way and his experience. You know, I mean, you talk about a guy, though, to me, that is unbelievable. Because I looked at him, grabbed him, and I said, hey, you know, at the end of the game, I'm like, hey, he's like, Coach. You know, his response was, Coach, all I care about is winning. He goes, whatever it takes for us to win. If you want me to play 70 plays, if you want me to play one play, whatever it takes for us to win, you just tell me what we got to do to win, and we'll go do it. You know, and that's why he's on our leadership committee. You know, you just see him as a person. To me, you know, he's a game captain, and there's a reason he's a game captain. Is, you know, what he brings every day to the program is so special that. You know, of how he, you know, I mean, reminds me of guys, of the focus of his mental toughness. What he, you know, I mean, if you say, hey, who's he like? Is probably like a Tim Tebow type player, you know, that has that kind of demeanor, right? Whatever it takes to win, I just want to win. You know, I mean, of whatever it is you're doing, and that's why I like him, and that's why he helps us. That's why, you know, you want to have him on the field because of that. You want that demeanor of guys that are out there on the field.
Before the first game, Coach, you had said Corey Dennis is going to be calling the plays, but I'm opinionated. I'll probably chime in.
Yeah.
Now that we've played 2 games, how much have you found yourself chiming in on the play calling?
A little bit here and there. You know, I've probably called a couple of good plays and a couple of bad plays. You know, because sometimes I'll chime in. I'm like, yeah, I messed that one up. And, you know, like, it's my fault. You know, which I guess then I can't be like, oh, that's a terrible call. Like, it's not like, you know, I'm like on the phone, like condescending that I can be. It's like that. Is that the best call you can do there, Corey? That's embarrassing. Right? So if I call it, I can't really say that, you know. I do. I just mumble it to myself. But no, I think our staff does a good job. You know what I mean? Of great communication of what we like, what we don't like in between series. And, you know, every once in a while I'll see something and say, hey, let's do this. And, you know, we've gone with it. I think our flow is going to continue to get better as we continue to, you know, work together as a staff more. A lot of guys, everybody's first time kind of being together, kind of that, how that flow works. I think it's going to hopefully continue to get better.
Coach, you mentioned the return of Mumu. Is there any other injury updates that you're aware of right now?
I don't know. Give me, who do you want to know about? I'll ask you who you want to know about. He's back at practice this week. Who else? Anybody? If you. He's, I think, cleared for contact this week. I don't know if we'll let him go. He's on that edge right now. I think that, you know, they said that he would be available for this game. The fact that he hasn't practiced since spring, I would be cautious with that, but I think he'll be available for the game. So whether he gets in or not, we have coming up with a bye week next week, some time to really break him in. I might be cautious with that, but they told me he should be available. Mm-hmm. Well, I think he's a high-energy guy. You know, he's one of those guys, brings a great demeanor. I think he's intelligent. He has position flexibility, which I think is really important when you lose him, you know, and especially you're trying to create depth and create matchups on the field that you can move guys to different spots. You know, and I think that certainly helps with the depth aspect of guys playing. You know, I mean, like I talked, game 1, AB played over 90 plays in the game. Game 2, he played in the, I want to say like 30 to 40, and he's the player of the week. You know, so like when I talk about guys learning, you know, hey, I want to play 90 plays a game. I really don't think you do. You know what I mean? I think you want to play 40 and be the best, the conference player of the week, instead of being 90 and be completely exhausted and struggling out there on the field. That's the buy-in. And so Mumu's going to create, hopefully, raise the level of not just having him back, which helps, but raise the level of other plays because it adds to the depth and the rotation that we can go play with. Thank you all.
AB's coming too.
Play Clemson and at Florida State while you were at Virginia, or were they at Clemson?
I played at Clemson.
You did.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about that atmosphere.
Yeah, no, it was a good time. Hey, I got you. We're waiting for AB. Yeah. Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah. Hi, Anthony.
How you doing?
Obviously, we know how big this game is for your program and for the school and the city. Could you go back to the time when you were at Virginia, you played at Clemson in that environment, that
Yeah.
kind of big-time environment?
Yeah.
What did you take from that experience that will help you and some of your other teammates have played in big-time environments
Yeah.
as well? How does it help you in terms of prep and then on game day?
No, it's a big deal for sure. Just because there's a lot of people going to be at the game, and when I was back at Virginia playing at Clemson, it's a fun atmosphere and it's super fun to play in. But at the end of the day, you just got to win the week. You got to win the Monday through Thursday. You got to prepare at a high level. So that's the biggest thing this week is just preparing at a high level and getting the win Saturday.
Amaris, could you talk about your journey to make it here to UNLV?
I'll say it was a lot of ups and downs. You know, it was a lot of adversity. I started off my career at Kansas State for the first 2 years. You know, got a little playing time here and there. It was mainly on special teams. I transferred to USF in the spring of 22. You know, and I went back home, and literally like since I got there, you know, I was the starter. I had played corner obviously, and you know, I had 2 great seasons there, and just, you know, going into last season into fall camp, you know, I suffered from a little minor injury, you know, that kind of put me out for the season. And you know, when I hit the portal, you know, Coach Mullen called me, you know, we had that talk, and you know, he just asked me to come be a Rebel, you know, and you know, I bought into everything that he was saying. You know, I was listening, and you know, I just came to UNLV because I felt like, you know, it was the best decision for me.
Coach just told us about the amount of reps you get. He said the first game, like 90 reps, 90 plays, and then 30 to 40 this past week, and your player of the week defensively in the conference. Would you like to be on the field more frequently?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of used to the 90 play deal. I kind of did that for, you know, the last 2 to 3 years, honestly. But you know, being that we got guys, you know, we have depth. You know, we have, you know, guys, you know, 2, 3 deep who can play as well. You know, so being that I was able to play, you know, half of those snaps and still, you know, be the player of the game, you know, just shows, you know, regardless if it's 90 plays, 30 plays, you know, we're still gonna be effective, still gonna be the same team.
What do you think defensively you got better at as a unit? You gave up the 2 4th and 1s, which you don't like, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But other than that, what about it was better this week than the first week?
I I think our focus just on the details. You know, like Ant said, you know, that Monday through Thursday, you know, battle that you fight throughout the week. You know, we were locked into the minor details. You know, it's simple, just running to the ball. You know, tagging off, making sure we actually thudding up the runner. You know, those type of things that we lacked in game one, and I felt like, you know, that's what helped us, you know, perfect those details this past weekend in Houston.
AB D-line racked up 4 sacks on Friday. What do you want to see from those guys this week against UCLA?
You know, I want to see more than, you know, what they've been showing us all spring, all camp. You know, the D-line, them guys get after it. You know, we got a good unit down there. And, you know, they can cause a lot of pressure, you know, on the QB, you know, to put the DBs, you know, in good position to make plays just how we did on Saturday. So I don't expect nothing more from them.
Coach Mullen said that UCLA is going to come in with an edge after Saturday's loss. What sticks out to you on tape about Nico?
Honestly, nothing really stick out to me about him. Honestly, like, you know, in the past it's been to talk about, you know, 5-star this, 5-star that. You know, like, I done been around plenty 5-stars, 4-stars. You know, that it don't scare me. You know what I'm saying? So, and I done played, you know, competition technically, you know, higher than them. You know, if you want to include Alabama and all that, I done played up to their competition. So, you know, going against a guy like Nico, like, it's no surprise. You know, no excitement, nothing like that.
For you, Anthony, just talk about 2 wins under your belt, just the confidence you're feeling, the flow you're in right now.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. It's just always great to win, right? And for our offense, I feel like we've been rolling at a high level, just being able to be really good on third down. And if we score touchdowns in the red zone, I think it could be a really good offense this upcoming year.
Amaris, just for you personally, Coach said Mumu's Ben Wahad's going to be back in the lineup this week and just providing some depth for you guys. What does he bring in the secondary?
You know, he brings the energy, you know, excitement to the back end. You know, he's a good player, you know, just like the rest of us. And we kind of were missing a piece of him the first 2 weeks, you know, being out there with us on the field. But, you know, just his energy, his presence, and his mindset, you know, when he's on the field with us, just going to bring us, you know, a lot of confidence and energy as a defense.
And then just for both of you guys have both played in some big games. Like obviously, Anthony, you played at Clemson. There's just a lot of big atmospheres. And this week at Allegiant, they've already announced about a month ago that they're opening up seats in the upper bowls. This is one of the going to be most nationally televised game for UNLV in a while. What does that mean to you guys just to be able to bring some spotlight to the UNLV program overall?
You know, it means a lot. You know, the city needs it. You know, and last year them guys kind of, you know, laid out the foundation and set the standard. You know, we just kind of continuing, you know, from what them guys did last year with the last staff. But, you know, I don't feel like it's you know, as a team, we don't feel like, you know, it's a big moment for us or it's, you know, like a really big game. You know, it's just another week, another opponent. You know, we're going to take the same steps that we took to play Idaho State, you know what I'm saying, that we taking, you know, to play UCLA.
Anthony, for you, what is it about Jaden Bradley that makes him such a big-time downfield threat, and where has he taken the biggest step since you guys started working together?
Yeah, no, I feel like Jaden's super good at preparing. And like I said earlier with the Monday through Thursday, I feel like he does a great job at just texting me, just things he sees and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, he's a big receiver that could go make plays down the field. And I just got to give him a chance downfield, and he'll go make a play.
Anthony, what do you feel makes you so efficient offensively, and how much have you grown since you got here in the spring?
Yeah, no, I feel like Coach Dennis has done a great job just being a great coach and just really finding the little details. I feel like as an offense, if we execute at a high level, it makes us look really good just off of us scoring in the red zone, scoring from deep, hitting deep shots. And it's really good for us as an offense just to be able to run the ball and throw the ball because it puts pressure on the defense. So I feel like we've done a great job at that.
One more for AB. My bad, you had 2 sacks on Friday night. I got you. The confidence from your defense that you're seeing from your guys, just 2 wins with Paul Gunther. What do you want to see from your guys this week?
You know, kind of like I said earlier, you know, I don't really expect, you know, much from the guys, you know, nothing that we haven't already done, you know, through training camp from the spring, you know, through the fall. And, you know, Coach Gunther, like his system that he runs, you know, it's an NFL-like system, and I feel like as a defense, like we're really comfortable with, you know, what he's calling, his reasoning behind it, you know what I'm saying, and just the structure of the defense itself, you know, and I feel like as long as we go out there, you know, pay attention to those little details, like I said earlier, you know, we're going to come out with the win.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
No problem. Thank you. Have a good one.